and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm finally getting around to filming a video that's been highly requested for like months and months, and here I am finally about to film it for you guys, and I'm so proud of myself. Basically, for the longest time everyone's been requesting me to film a video on how I edit my Instagram photos. If you guys have been following me for a little while, you'll know that whenever I post an Instagram photo, I like to post the before photo, so the original photo, and then I also like to do a full Facetune, super glam, really flawless edit. So I like to show the best of both worlds. I kind of just like showing that nobody's perfect on Instagram, because so often I'm scrolling through my feed and I'm like, oh my god, this girl is so perfect, but we don't get to see the editing that goes in behind those photos. So I find it super important to show basically both the before and after on my channel, because I like to keep things real. So obviously before I've sat down here, I was playing on my phone and I did take a bunch of selfies, so we're just gonna edit one of those. Alright, so I've just started screen recording on my phone. Hopefully I can like edit this correctly and you guys will see what I'm doing. So first what I'm going to do is just open up Facetune, and then with the little camera picture in the corner, I'm just going to select which photo that I want to edit. So this is the one that I've decided to edit today. So first what I'm going to do is just zoom into the photo, and then I'm going to use the one that says details at the bottom. I'm going to zoom into my eye area and just sort of tap that over my eye just to make that stand out a little bit more. And then if you guys can see, this is the before and that's the after, so it just makes my eyes pop quite a lot more. So I'm going to click the tick, and then the next thing that I'm going to go into is the smooth. So I like to use the one that says smoother, and I'm just going to start with my forehead. So I'm kind of just doing little tapping motions along my forehead just to really smooth out the skin. Alright, so I literally just do this to my whole face. It's really important not to go over eyes or brows or any lines in your face. So like even just see these lines around my nose. You don't want to actually go over those lines, because that's when it's just going to start looking really fake. Alright, so I'm just going to keep going, smoothing my whole face basically. You can sort of drag it if you want to, but I find tapping gives like a more natural sort of not too over the top look. Okay. So just sort of zooming out just to make sure I've got most of the areas that I wanted to get. Alright, so there's the before and then there's the after. Now I'm going to do the same thing to my body. So obviously I want my body to sort of match and be as smooth as my face. So I'm just going to do some real quick smoothing there. You guys can see that my hand is also super white, whereas my face and body looks quite tan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the tones, and then I want the picker, and then I basically just pick a tone that I can see on my body. So I'm just going to tap on my chest there, and you guys can see it sort of brings up a colour that's similar to what I've got on my face and body. I'm just going to zoom out, and then I'm just going to tap that over my hand, just like real little tapping motions, and so you can see the before and after. It's kind of just darkening my hand a little bit so it doesn't stand out and it's not so crazy white. So next what I'm going to do is zoom in. I'm going to go back into the tones, and then I'm going to select the picker. So I'm going to select part of my contour. So as you guys can see in the little blue square at the bottom, it's kind of picked up like a dark brownie tone. What I'm going to do is click on that, and I'm going to just drag that down a little bit to make it a little bit darker. Then I click the tones button. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm just going to kind of go over where my contour is. So I'm starting on my cheek, and I'm going to bring that up onto my forehead as well. So it's important to zoom out here, otherwise you're going to have a really small section, whereas this kind of blurs it out and makes it look more natural. So the further out you go, sort of the bigger area that your tapping is going to be covering. If that kind of makes any sense, I have no idea. But this is just what I do. So you guys can see the before and the after there. Now if there's any areas you've gone over that you're not really happy with, you can just click erase. So I can see this little section on my forehead that I kind of don't want to be covered. So you can always go over the little erase button and fix that up. But I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. I'm going to add a little bit onto the side here, and then a little bit just under my jawline there. Now I'm going to go and edit my highlight. So I'm just going to go back into tones and then back into picker, and I'm going to select sort of like the lightest point in my highlight just on my cheek. Then what I'm going to do is open the palette and kind of just move that over to make it a little bit brighter. And then I'm going to zoom out and I'm just going to tap over my cheek area where that highlight is. So you guys can see before and after. I'm going to do a little bit on my forehead as well. I'm going to also tap that on the tip of my nose. I've also got some highlights sort of between my brows there, so I'll tap that little spot. And then I also like to brighten up the inner corner of my eyes, so I'm just going to tap around this area just to really brighten that up. So that's before and after. And I'll do a little bit on the other side as well. I'm also going to add some of that just under my brow bone. Okay. So as you guys can see, this is oh, hang on, I better click tick first. So this is the before and this is the after, so it's already looking super airbrushed and fake, which is what I'm liking. So if we zoom into my eyelashes, I just had my lash extensions done yesterday and I got so much makeup on them. So what I'm going to do is go into tones, pick, and then I'm going to pick like a section that's dark on my lashes, and I'm just going to kind of do little tapping motions over the edges of my lashes because they're like, they have concealer or something on them and it's really standing out to me. I'm obviously not going to be able to make it perfect, but that's what we're going to work with. So you guys can see before and after there. I'm just going to do a little bit the same on the other eye. I'm going to go in and just kind of touch up my eyeshadow a little bit. So I'm going to go back into the tones, the picker, and then I just like to select a section. So I'm going to select sort of like the outer section here, go back to tones, and then you can sort of just tap that over here, and then I'm going to go under my eye as well. So there's before, after, and I'm going to do the same just to the other eye and go under as well. And then next I'm going to select that sort of dark purpley color at the outer edge of my eye. So I'm going to go back into the picker and select that, and I want to make sure it's still like really in those purpley dark tones. So I might even just select it there, and then I'm just going to tap that on my outer corner, and I'm going to go really close to my lash line just under my eyes as well, and just doing the same on the other side. So you guys can see there before and after. I'm just going to, okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. So next what I like to do is go in and just whiten the background. I find that this just helps all of my Instagram photos like all kind of blend in together a little bit better. So I'm going to click on the whiten, and then I'm just going to brush over the background. So I'm starting on this side here. Now you can do this a few times depending on like how white and bright you need your background to be. I try to just always take my photos on a white background, so it makes it a little bit easier for me. Alright, so just brushing over that whole background, and if you do get any of this on your skin, you can just click the little erase button and then erase that off at the end. I find it just looks so much more crisp and clean too when you do it like this. Alright, and then I'm going to do the other side as well. Check out my mirror, guys. I picked it up the other day for like $35 or $39 from TK Maxx. It's like literally my new favorite shop to go to. Alright, so I'm just gonna keep whitening over the background. Alright, so then what I do is I zoom out and I use that little blue square on the bottom corner. I'm just gonna go before and after just to make sure I haven't got any of that on my skin anywhere. So that's all looking pretty good to me. It's not gonna be perfect, but that's looking alright. So another thing that you can do when you're editing your photos is go into this little reshape tool at the bottom. I then click refine, and I can see that this eye is not as open as the other one, so I'm going to fix that. All I'm going to do is sort of tap about where my lashes are and just kind of drag up a little bit. Whoops. So I'm just going to drag up a little bit just to sort of open that eye. So that's before and that's after. So that's looking like a little bit better. What I'm also going to do is pull the hair down on my forehead a little bit, because I feel like my forehead, I don't know, it just looks nicer when it's like more of a round shape, not squared on the edges. So there's before and after. I'll also pull down this part here just a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is give my eyebrows a little bit of a lift. So I'm going to zoom in and then just kind of pull up on this area here, and I'll do the same on the other side. So you can also make your lips look a little bit bigger by doing this as well, but I feel like my lips are looking like a really good shape naturally in this photo, but I'll just show you guys anyway. So you can sort of just do gently pulling up there. You can literally do whatever you want in these photos. You can also sort of go in and just straighten up that jawline. But I'm honestly pretty much happy with how that's looking so far. If you want to brighten up that inner corner a little bit more, you can go into Tone's Click Palette and then take that to the really bright side and just pat over that there to make it a little bit more intense. And I'll do the same on my brow bone. So I'm just going to zoom in and tap a little bit in the center of that highlight just to make it a little bit more intense. I'm also going to tap some of that on my chin. And then I'm going to go in and just kind of touch any of the parts that are sort of lit up on my chest area there just to make them a little bit more pretty. Alright, so now I'm going to open Instagram. And I'm going to open the photo that I just edited. So I'm just going to kind of like sit that how I want it to be. And then I'm just going to add in the original photo as well, because you guys know that I like to do it that way. I'll try and sit them in the same sort of a spot. So then I go next. And there's my before and my after. So I'm just going to click on the after photo. Now, the two filters that I like to use is the Ludwig and the Aiden one. So it just sort of depends what I want the image to look like. But I generally like them to look really bronzy, really glowy. And I like to play with the contrast and saturation probably the most. I always put the filter at like say 30% max. Today I think I'm going to use the Ludwig one. Alright, so I'm going to put that at 30. Click done, and then I'm going to go into editing. So what I'm going to do first is bring up the contrast. So I'm going to make that quite contrasty at 23. Then I go into the saturation and I just kind of play around with how I want my skin to look tan. So I'm just going to leave that at 10. I think that looks okay. With the color one, sometimes I go into the blue one, I tap it again, and then I take it down just to make me not look so orangey. So I'm just going to leave that on 8. Highlights and shadows I can play with sometimes. So I'm just going to take the shadows up just a touch. Highlights I'm pretty sure are looking fine in this image. I also like to go to the end and just sharpen the image up a little bit. So you guys can see there, before, after. I'm actually pretty happy with how that's looking. Don't think I need any brightness, but that's pretty much all I do. And that's literally it. So there's my before and there's my after. So that is literally all I do to edit my Instagram photos. I honestly hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial and you found it helpful. Now we can all be flawless on Instagram together. Just remember guys, nobody's perfect and editing is just a little bit of fun. If any of you do end up following my tutorial and editing your own photos, it would be so cool to be tagged in them just to see how yours turn out after watching the tutorial. So honestly, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys in my next video.